voice, heard. Call 866-87-RANDY. Now, back to Randy Rhodes.
I just wish there was work.
A cut in unemployment benefits takes hold, making it even tougher for those who are out of work.
There's still a lot of people looking for work and not enough jobs to go around.
Sam Janicki is one of 355,000 Michiganders who can't find work.
Financially, next month's it. I'm done.
Sandra's unemployment payments are set to run out soon. Whenever she can afford the gas to make it into town, she spends her day here at the Colorado Workforce Center in Montrose, searching desperately.
You feel like a failure, and you feel like the biggest loser that walked the face of the earth.
There you have it, the Republican plan for working Americans. End unemployment benefits at a time of very long-term unemployment. Don't do a jobs package. Cut food stamps. Redistribute the wealth to the top 1% through the tax code. In fact, Ryan's budget is so blatant about what would happen to the middle class.
Well, you only have to look at the Republican budget, the latest Ryan budget, that makes middle-class families pay an additional $2,000 in taxes and cuts $200,000 in taxes for millionaires. And so their policies really speak for themselves. Cuts in Medicare, in education, in Head Start. I mean, the list is long, and that goes right at the heart of the middle class. Not only do we not want education benefits anymore for middle-class families, but also not extending unemployment benefits, a budget that says we're going to reward the millionaires and we're going to punish people who just get up and try to get up every single day and go to work for a living.
Exactly. This is the budget. This is the priority. And what a budget is nothing except a roadmap of the nation's priorities. And the priorities of the Republican Party are to kill unemployment. They were successful in doing that. Cut money out of food stamps. You know, they want to cut the whole food stamp program. The whole thing is $80 billion. And there's $83 billion in subsidies going to banks. Because they're too big to fail, we have to subsidize them so that they don't fail. We have to actually pay them not to fail. I mean, it's so sick. And the amount of money that goes to just one sector, the banks, is greater than the entire cost of the entire food stamp program that feeds 47 million people, seniors, disabled, veterans, children, 22 million kids. I mean, 1 million veterans are on food stamps. That is a sin. But those are their priorities, and they're very good at getting their things done. Unemployment has been cut, and at the beginning, 3 days after Christmas, when they started to cut, 1.3 million people lost their unemployment benefits. That number is now up to almost 2.5 million people. They're trying to kill Obamacare, and we know 9.5 million people that didn't have insurance now do have insurance, and they want to cut Medicaid, which would, scale back that number. They want to cut Medicare and turn it into a voucher program, so somebody my age will never get Medicare. I would get a $6,000 voucher a year to go buy a health insurance plan that at my age costs more than $6,000 a year. So there's no way I would ever see Medicare. That's also in their sights. They decimated Head Start, and they're not done with it. They want to get rid of the Department of Education. They've gotten rid of affirmative action. They've said let the white people vote on whether or not they want affirmative action in their states. They won't do a jobs package. They won't invest in our infrastructure. And then you see articles come out that say that the U.S. middle class is no longer the most affluent middle class in the world, that we're, running like we're playing third, fourth, fifth fiddle to other countries. Canada has surpassed us. Minimum wage here just isn't high enough for people to make a living wage, and, a lot of people are living off of that. And they say that we don't get, our young kids aren't able to get the education that we were able to get. Because of the student loan program, because of the interest rates they charge, because of the mere fact that their parents lost all their wealth in a housing crisis, which was caused by the banks that we are now subsidizing to the tune of the entire cost of the food stamp program. I mean, this is a very sick society in which we toil. But, this is what the Republicans have in mind for you, obviously, because they've achieved it over the last 10 years. They have been steadily working at doing away with the anything that would benefit somebody in the middle class, anything that would benefit somebody who's trying to grab onto a ladder, to, see a door open, to grab an opportunity that might come their way. They're not interested. They want the race to the bottom because they need us to work for cheap, real cheap, dirt cheap, like prison labor cheap, like that cheap, which, by the way, we are currently competing with. You've got prisoners in this country who are doing labor for 2 cents an hour. It actually exists. It really is happening. And their budget, when they put out their budget, they are telling you, it's in your face, what their priorities are. And their priorities are not unemployed. Their priorities are not employed who are working their tails off but can't, listen, $30,000 a year for two people who make $15,000 a year, working 2 minimum wage jobs ain't going to cut it. It's just that you're not going to be able to, you're just not going to be able to pay your bills. There's no way $30,000, doesn't actually pay for what it costs to live in modern day America. It won't cover child care. It won't cover rent. It won't cover transportation. It won't cover gas for your car or bus fare. It's not going to cover food. It's not, it won't make it. There's no way. And everybody's sitting there thinking other people are doing it. They're not doing it. Other people aren't doing it. Other people are either taking advantage of Medicaid, or they're because you can't afford health care, right? And you get sick and then you're wiped out. I mean, you're already wiped out. Americans have no savings. Very few of us have savings. Very few. So this was their agenda, and they're very good at doing it. And now, of course, they want to mobilize white voters who have been alienated by civil rights reforms so that they will go out and they will vote against things that help people who, listen, the great wrongs that have been done against entire populations of segments of our population, they're not unknown. They're not unknown. Everybody knows what those great wrongs were. Everybody knows what the great wrong of slavery is. Everybody knows what the great wrong of Reconstruction was. Everybody knows what the great wrong of Jim Crow laws were. Everybody knows why we needed a Civil Rights Act. Everybody knows why we needed a Voting Rights Act of 65. Everybody, my age has lived through the pre and the post. We all know. And now we're back in post again. We're back to square one on a whole host of issues. Just remember this. All civil rights come from the 14th Amendment. Every single thing that has been designed to give equality to women, or designed to give equality to gays and lesbians, or designed to give equality to African Americans, all comes from the 14th Amendment. Because those are new classes of citizens that did not exist before the 14th Amendment, did not exist before the 13th Amendment, did not exist in the Bill of Rights. They did not have equal rights. They did not have citizenship, basic citizenship they didn't have. And so all civil rights come from, and they are hacking away at it, just literally hacking away at it. It's like the white supremacists who really seriously said the South's going to do it again are winning. It's an amazing thing to watch. It's heartbreaking, but it's an amazing thing to watch. We've got an economy that is just so fixable. That's the crazy part. It's so doable. It's so fixable. It's so easy to do it with pay-fors and with closing tax loopholes and with getting the money we're literally owed from tax avoiders and from loophole exploiters and from hedge fund managers and from carried interest beneficiaries, and all these things have been written into the tax code. You write them out of the tax code, and suddenly there's stimulus money, and suddenly there's $50 public education, and suddenly there's food stamps, and suddenly there's job creation, suddenly there's infrastructure and construction jobs, and all the supplies and the materials that come from those jobs. There's a big supply chain that gets invigorated. Research and development pays for innovation, pays for new technology, pays for investments, gets us off of fossil fuels. like, electricity. Changed the whole thing. Game changer. Tennessee Valley Authority, game changer. Like that. And this president has the capacity, has the desire, has the wherewithal, has the idea, has the smarts, has the ability, understands our history, understands everything about the way we live because he lived that way too. So interesting that Bill Clinton had a single mother and Barack Obama had a single mother. 22 million jobs under Bill Clinton with a friendly Congress for a little while until they impeached him in 1998. Had a good run, though. This president, 47 days. And got health care. You realize this Medicaid expansion could insure another 30 million people? It's free money to the states. And they won't take it because they're driving you down to your knees. Then you'll take any job. Then you'll work for less than minimum wage. It's just so sick. I mean, it's just so amazing to me. When you have long-term unemployment, in the history of the United States, we have never ended emergency unemployment benefits since the advent of unemployment benefits. This is the only time that Congress refused to extend unemployment with such a large number of long-term unemployed. It's just never happened before. Just like lowering taxes in a time of war had never happened before George Bush. Never. No one was asked to sacrifice a damn thing. A war waged for corporate interests, and they cut their taxes at the same time. Just amazing. Amazing. And you've got ordinary people advocating for this policy while they go to the bottom, too. Just, it blows my mind. Sharon in Ithaca.
Hi, Randy.
Hello.
So glad to talk to you. Income inequality, oh, my God. I'm very disturbed and no hope for this country, sometimes I feel, because of all the things that are going on and how people vote against their best interest. But maybe the American people aren't stupid like they have not been, like they've been smart in the past, and maybe they'll vote right this time. Maybe they'll vote what they need to vote for this time. I just hope so.
Well, you know, I've been doing this for a really, really long time, and
I know,
and I got to tell you that there are they're just midterm elections. Just people they just don't, and it's, you know, the base of the parties are the ones that do, and frankly, when the base of our party sits it out, and the base of their party shows up, this is what you get, and. The reason why the conservatives are doing, you know, this Cliven Bundy story and this affirmative action ruling and the voting rights, you know, turning it back and all this stuff is because they want the base of the party, these rabid white supremacists, these seriously, bigoted,
but how come
prejudiced.
They don't call Bundy a taker? Why don't they call Bundy a taker? He's a taker.
Because they have never met anybody who hates the government that couldn't be made into a friendly.
Yeah.
And the reason is because the government seriously exists to promote the general welfare of the people, and that has got to stop. They don't want the general welfare of the people promoted. They don't want anything that would, you know, help even themselves, because they have, for 30 years, pitched this thing that the government is not here to help you. The government is your enemy. That's what Reagan started, and they have been doing for 30 years. That's why wages have been stagnant for 30 years. That's why we haven't seen an increase in tipped wages in 30 years. That's why we see a reversal to pre-civil rights era policies. It's not because the war was won. It's because they want the war to stop.
Well, I just hope you take care of yourself and you do whatever it is you need to do, and I am going to miss you tremendously.
Well, thank you. I'll miss you, too. 48 after.
Randy Rhodes.
Freedom of speech. Deal with it. This is The Randy Rhodes Show.
This is Michelle Jackson, and you're listening to the all-new RadioMonterey.com.